coming. It's wonderful to have you here with me. My name is Elysabeth Alfano, and you are at Fear No Art Presents the Dinner Party. So what I do on this show is I invite 3 celebrities who don't know each other and a prominent chef who cooks for us. And over food and drinks and performances, the unscripted conversations flow.
So I have a question for all of you. I'll start with Chef, but you know, you're all so committed. And I always think that that's the difference between success and not success, is being committed. But I'm wondering, starting with Chef, have you ever doubted yourself? Because you've gone out there in the public, 3 restaurants now. Was there ever a point in time in any of your career, starting with Chef, when you thought, I'm just not sure?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question that anybody with whatever you're doing has that moment, or has maybe even multiple times in your career where you question if you're good enough for it, or
Yes.
I think for me, I think having even still now, not that this has anything to do with being good enough, but I think
You have to hold your mic.
having a family with kids,
Yes.
and feeling like you don't spend enough time with them. That's
Sure.
different than not feeling like you're capable of the job. But I did actually work for a chef here in this lovely city who felt like maybe I should do something else. So I'm not going to mention the name of that chef.
Oh, wow. And how do you get beyond that?
Well, I mean, I left that job.
I guess you did, yes.
And moved on and rose to the next opportunity.
Absolutely. How did you guys get over doubt? Because I think everyone at some point in time has had that feeling.
Oh my God, I think constantly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Constantly, did you put the right person in the right role?
Yes.
You spend hours and hours and hours bringing someone to a certain place, and you want them to deliver. And so I would say that for me, the hours between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. are pretty troubling, and they're often.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, well, it's part of, I almost feel like, when people are like, oh, you're lucky you have a passion. It's like, yeah, sure, sure I'm lucky. But I also like before going to sleep every night, I think I operate out of fear that I won't achieve my greatest dreams.
Right.
But at the same time,
it propels you, that fear.
It propels you, and also you end up meeting amazing people if you're lucky along the way. And again, I go back to the support system. It's very important to have, I'd be lost without my best friend. I mean, she's known me since I was 18 years old. Yeah. And anytime I'm have a life crisis situation, she's there with me. Yeah. I was struggling up here for a minute, trying to get into the groove.
Which
had to look her in the eyes.
We saw you.
She had my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, and that continues throughout life. And you're lucky if you have people that get you. And right now, I would say for all of us, in all of our fields, we're lucky to have people who are patrons of the arts, who come out and see shows, who are supportive of the arts.
Raise our glass to patrons of the arts. Really.
No, really.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out, patrons of the arts. Absolutely.
We're thankful to you.
We are thankful.
We are.
And grateful, and I'll drink to that.
And I will too.
How do you get over doubt, if you have any?
Definitely, I do all the time. I mean,
Drugs and alcohol.
Mostly.
It helps.
How did you know?
I mean, one of the best things that I think can happen to any artist is to just fail a lot of times early on and realize that it's not the end of the world. I mean, when I think a lot of fear and doubt comes out of not knowing what's going to happen if it doesn't work. And so having the experience where it doesn't work and you realize it's
you
okay.
live to tell.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
You just try again at a different time. Allows you to, in a way, temper that fear, but it's been interesting. I mean, the older I get, actually, the more I notice that I'm fearful of things. I think I've sort of lost whatever that early wave of just like, well, I'm young and I have unlimited opportunities to fuck up. Now I don't feel like I have unlimited opportunities to fuck up.
Well, and you have a baby, and that changes it too a little bit.
That's been part of it. But I think even without him, I just think I'm recognizing, I'm like, oh, okay, I only have so much time on this earth. Now what do I really want to do? Let's get serious about what I really want to do.
Right.
And so I'm dealing with my own internal ideas of success and my own
Yes.
internal goals. And so it's not a crippling fear, and it's not a fear that you can't overcome, but it is, there is a feeling of like, all right, we're really doing this. Like, I'm
Yes,
10
right.
years into my career right now.
And there's no
How
turning
do I
back.
want this thing to go?
Right, right.
Which are not questions I used to ask myself. I used to be like, all right, cool, I finished that movie. Here's some people I'm excited about. I'll go make
Next.
that movie.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah,
Let's keep
just
going.
like let's just sort of like keep that party going. And now I'm like, all right, I know what it means to get involved in a project now. I know this is going to be
Yes.
18 months of my life.
Right.
Who do I want to spend that 18 months with?
Right.
What story do I want
And
to
the
tell? How do I want
opportunity
this
cost.
experience to be? And so the stakes seem to me to get higher and higher each time, in a good way.
Yes.
In a way that's inspiring but in a way that is conducive to fear.
Right, and
And-
because there's more on the line.
Yeah, it feels to me like there's more on the line.
Yeah, I think, and just to piggyback off that, I feel like at some point you say, all right, what's my legacy going to be? Like, it's not even just about, oh, what am I going to accomplish and how much money am I going to make? And, like, it's not, I don't think it's anything superficial like that, in the artistic world and all of our artistic worlds. I think it becomes, how am I what's my impression that I'm leaving on the earth? And, how am I paying my rent for the space that I'm taking up on this earth?
On Earth.
What are people going to say about me when I pass on? And what's going to be my narrative?
Yes.
And that gets scary the older you get, because it's like, all right, what am I going to have the opportunity to create? What projects can I create? And who's going to be on board with me for that? And that's frightening.
Frightening.
Yeah.
Frightening.
exciting.
But exciting. We have a tweet that's just come in, or a quick tweet or question that's just come in for Chef. Allie, what do we have?
From Patty W. What are your inspirations for your cuisine?
Ooh, well, I will just say that Patty W. has won a $100 gift certificate from our friends at Groupon to go to Perennial Virant. Lucky, lucky Patty. And she has won that book, Preservation Kitchen,
Yeah, I know.
signed Preservation Kitchen.
Congratulations, Patty. So now I got to answer the question.
Yes, please.
Inspiration? It's a lot of things, but for me, it could be a trip to the farmer's market. Traveling is a huge, when I have a chance to go anywhere. It could be a road trip, or actually this week I'm cooking in Richmond, and then I'm cooking in New York a week from tonight. So there's always a lot of inspiration. I'm looking forward to getting out kind of to the Chesapeake Bay area. I'm cooking at the Rappahannock Oyster Company in Richmond. So traveling's huge.
Yes, right, getting ideas from other sources.
But I think I find a lot of inspiration also from having a chance to spend some time outside. Like whether it's a hike,
in nature.
a walk with my kids, and you sort of, and I've always been into foraging, so it's kind of fun to, to look for things that you
Right.
can, the wild edibles that you can find.
And you've got mushroom season, right? Isn't this?
Mushroom season is big. I mean,
Yeah.
the fall is probably the biggest time of the year for puffballs, hen of the woods, shaggy mane, chicken of the woods.
Yeah. Great.
And then from out west, I mean, we get porcinis and matsutake mushrooms. So
Do you have a favorite ingredient in the kitchen? No, not favorite ingredient.
Favorite
Most
ingredient?
important. Can't live without ingredient in the kitchen.
salt's pretty important.
So I used to say salt, and then I decided onions. What could I really do without an onion?
Just I think seasoning, or having the ability to season food, it's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
anything, in its own way, in its own form, can be tasty. But salt really sort of helps enhance the flavor of an item, whether it's asparagus or a tomato that's perfectly ripe with a little sprinkling of salt.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, many lives and wars have been fought over salt.
Yes, I know. I know. Well, I feel almost sacrilegious by asking you this, because you like to take hikes, and you're talking about heirloom tomatoes, and do you have a favorite junk food?
Of course.
And what is it?
I mean, I pretty much eat everything, so I don't.
Okay, I feel better.
My kind of guy.
I mean, my son, my youngest son, for Halloween this week, is going to be Fun Dip. You know, he wants to be candy. He's like a
Wait, what's he
he's like a
gonna be?
full-on candy. My son.
Wait, tell me again what he's
You
going
know,
to be.
remember the old candy
It's
Fun
the
Dip?
packages, you know, the
Comes
different
with the-
flavored packages, and
Yeah.
you get the stick that you.
It's delicious.
So that's not my. But I'm bringing that up because what I
That's his
recommend.
costume?
That's what he's going to be this week for Halloween. But I was encouraging him to be snow caps. I'm a big snow cap fan. You know, painted black. You know, flecked with white. You know.
What an easy costume. You're being very
Easy
kind to your
costume.
wife. Very costume. What about you guys? Favorite junk food down the line?
Salted caramel.
Ooh, yummy. That's almost
Nice.
like a nice junk food.
I can't get over cup of noodle soups. I know they're in styrofoam containers. Oh my God,
Is that-
but they're
is that
so
junk food?
I was
delicious.
going to say, I'm not even sure
That's
that's
kind
junk
of.
food.
No, it's soup. Soup
That's-
really isn't junk
It's
food.
Soup
soup
is
with like
quasi-good.
9 million grams of sodium.
Yes, that's true.
It's made in a
It's junk.
styrofoam thing. I love it though. It's so bad. I think it's the most delicious ever.
How about you?
I'm an ice cream person. That's sort of will always be the vice for me. I just can't seem to go too many days without it.
What's your flavor?
I don't, I'm like probably a mint chip person if I
Yeah.
had to, if it like got broken.
Give it
down.
up!
That is completely mainstream. I wouldn't have thought you'd go
Yeah.
mint chip.
And also, in terms of Halloween, we talked about it earlier, gender and changing times, but I just want to say, my 4-year-old son is going as Elsa from Frozen. When I was that age, there was not a female character
couldn't
that
be.
I would have
Right.
wanted to be for Halloween.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing, actually,
Yes.
that he put on the dress, he's got a blonde wig, and he feels so powerful in that outfit. I think it's incredible.
I want to see a picture of your son.
I adore that.
Yeah, it
I
was
want to
amazing.
see. I want to
but-
see that picture. Both of your kids, actually. I want to see those pictures. So we actually have a tweet or question for the whole group. Allie, what do we have?
From Jason Lovell, all guests are in creative fields. How do you develop your unique personal style and how does it influence your work today?
Ooh, how do you develop your unique personal style and how does it influence your work today? I will say that Jason has won a Kendall College cookbook and a huge Staub cookware
Thing.
thank you. Yes. So you can get to cooking. I love that question. One more time, Allie. Tell me the question again.
Unique style.
Thank you.
Do you want to repeat it?
Yes, sure. The whole unit. Yes, for everyone. How do you develop your unique style?
You go first there,
Yep,
bro.
all guests are in creative fields. How do you develop your unique style and how does it influence your work today?
And how does it?
I think that you're true to yourself and not
Yes.
to what you're confronted with every day. I think you take the temperature of yourself and how you feel, and that becomes kind of you have to own it. You can manufacture it, you can copy, but it's not the same.
I absolutely think that those are the best words of advice. You have to be true to yourself. Absolutely. What about you, Sami?
I agree that, my North Star as far as writing music and in my life in general is something Janis Joplin said once, which was, they said, why do you think your music's so relevant to young people? And she said, I just think they don't want to be lied to, man. and I really vibe with that. I think that's really important. On any given day I can be inspired, like let's say I go to ballet and I'm inspired by something there and it awakens something in my head and I have to write about it. I think the most important thing is, the truth.
Coming
And
out,
especially
yes.
in a time right now where there's a lot of stuff flying around and we don't know where information's coming from. I think it's
Right,
important for
yeah.
us to ask those questions and for us, because we have a huge responsibility as artists and people who build culture, to be as truthful as possible.
Yes, yes. What about you, Chef?
I have no idea.
Lay it down.
No, I agree obviously with what they're saying. I mean, it's a lot of it has a lot to do with, what sort of you set out to be, what kind of goals you set. I think ultimately you need to sort of evolve with the times as well. You need to sort of, you have your particular style. For me, style of cooking, but you have to embrace other things that come along, your staff, other things that might inspire you to change something. So, but being honest with yourself and going for it, I think is key.
Just going for it. I love these. These are all sort of words of advice that you're landing on for everyone. You, sir?
I mean, I have found often to my chagrin that I can't not be myself, which...
Yes, there really is no other choice.
There's like many times where I'm like, wow, I'm gonna really do this different this time. And then I finish a project and I'm like, well, it's one of my movies again. Now, I can't break out of that. So I think that there is some internal thing that you're sort of never going to escape, and you might as well embrace it because it's not going to go away no matter how hard you try. But I do think that a personal style can become as much a trap as it is, and something that's advantageous for an artist. So I think as long as you're always trying to do something different, it'll end up coming back to who you are as an artist and sort of what your vision is. But I do think it's important not to get comfortable in that space, because I do see a lot of artists who I think don't age very well because they realize too early what their thing is, and then they spend a lot of time just doing that.
And then they stay there.
Really good.
Yes. I love to end on these words of advice because the fact is you're never going to be any better than yourself. So the sooner you accept that, then the faster you are at being great at yourself, which is ideally what you really want to be. I want to thank all of you for coming because you've been such an attentive audience. Usually by this time people are like making noise with their wrappers and things, but you guys have been so wonderfully attentive. You've been a great audience. I want to thank you for coming.